All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something a little different.
Yeah.
We're looking at song lyrics.
Interesting.
Yeah. Specifically the song I Am John Wick,
Okay, I am familiar.
which if you hadn't guessed already is inspired by the John Wick
Oh,
movies.
yeah. Big fan of
I know,
those.
everyone's a fan of those. I mean, they're fantastic action movies,
Absolutely.
just pure fun. But this song, it's like they crawled inside John Wick's head and said, sing us a song, John.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, I don't want to be in that headspace, that's for sure.
Right.
But for the sake of this deep dive, we're gonna take a closer look at the lyrics,
All right, let's do it.
see what they reveal about this
Oh.
character. And just to set the stage a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not familiar with the John Wick universe, basically he's this retired hitman
Oh, I see.
who gets dragged back into the criminal underworld.
Hmm.
He's not exactly looking for trouble, but trouble has a way of finding John Wick. Now, the song opens with this really powerful line.
Okay.
It says, you took my peace, you lit the flame, now the world will know my name.
Right off the bat, sets the tone.
Right. So right away, we get this sense of like something precious was taken from him, his peace. And this act of violence, whoever that is,
Right.
lit the flame. Now, what do you think? Is that literal? Literal?
On one level, it's definitely literal. Someone or, some group did something to disrupt his life,
Yeah.
But it also works on this symbolic level, too. They reignited that rage within him.
The Baba Yaga, as they call him.
Exactly. It's like they woke up a sleeping giant.
Yeah, and now the world's going to know his name, or I guess remember his name.
Oh, yeah. He's back with a vengeance.
But then there's this interesting line. It says, a man of honor bound by code, now vengeance leads the path I've strode.
Okay.
So now we're getting some insight into his mindset, right? He's a man of honor. He follows a code, but he's also driven by vengeance. Isn't that kind of a contradiction?
It is, and it isn't. I mean, this is a classic trope in action movies, right? The anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who operates outside the law but has his own strong sense of right and wrong.
So like he's got his own code, his own rules that he lives by.
Right. And breaking those rules, that's what sets him off.
That's what lights the flame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes us think about the nature of justice too, right? Like,
Yeah.
is revenge ever truly honorable, or is it just a more palatable form of violence?
Yeah, is he delivering justice, or is he just as bad as the people he's going after?
Right. It's a question the movies make us wrestle with.
Definitely. And the lyrics keep digging into this internal struggle.
Oh, yeah.
There's this line, once a ghost in the shadow's breath, you drag me back from a life of rest.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So clearly, John Wick didn't want this life anymore,
He tried to leave it all behind.
He was a ghost, fading away, trying to disappear.
And someone or something wouldn't let him in.
Pulled him right back in.
And that imagery of, being dragged back from a life of rest, it really emphasizes how much he didn't want to return to this world.
Yeah, it makes his transformation all the more tragic.
You know? Absolutely. They made him the Baba Yaga again.
And that leads us to, I think, one of the most powerful lines on the whole song.
Okay.
It says, you stole my love, you crossed the line, now the devil's wrath is mine.
Woof. That's a gut punch.
Right. It's so simple,
Yeah.
but it just hits you right in the feels.
It does.
We don't need to get into specifics of the movie plot,
Right.
but it's clear that love and loss, those are huge driving forces for John Wick.
Oh, absolutely. They're at the heart of his story.
It's not just revenge for revenge's sake. It's about this deep personal pain.
They took everything from him.
Yeah, and now he's unleashing hell to get even.
The devil's wrath, no less.
Now, the song also mentions this nickname that, everyone knows him by.
Oh, yeah, the Baba Yaga.
It says, they call me the Baba Yaga, the shadow in the night. So for those who might not be familiar, could you explain a little about the Baba Yaga from Slavic folklore?
Sure. So the Baba Yaga is this, she's a very complex figure,
Right.
often portrayed as like a wild woman, sometimes a witch, sometimes a crone,
Right.
living in this hut that stands on chicken legs.
A hug on chicken legs.
Yeah, folklore, it gets a little weird sometimes.
I guess so.
But the thing about Baba Yaga is she's neither good nor bad, really. She can help you,
Yeah.
or she can, lead you to your doom. It depends on, who you are and what you want.
So she's kind of unpredictable.
Very much so. A force of nature.
And what makes that name so fitting for John Wick?
Well, I think it's that ambiguity, you know?
No, no,
Like
no.
Baba Yaga, John Wick operates in this gray area. He's incredibly skilled, dangerous, people fear him.
He's a shadow.
Right. And like Baba Yaga, there's a sense of the supernatural about him.
Yeah.
He can do things that normal people just can't do.
He's almost like a mythical figure.
Right. And that makes him even more terrifying.
Now, the song doesn't let up on the intensity. It keeps hammering home this idea of purpose, of a mission.
Mm.
The lyrics say, "For every move a debt is paid, one by one they'll fall. I am John Wick, the reckoning, the end of it all."
It's like a mantra, you know?
Yeah, totally.
He's got this laser focus. Every kill is a step towards fulfilling his purpose.
And he's not going to stop until it's done.
Absolutely. It's methodical. It's relentless. He's the reckoning, the end of it all.
But then we get this, I don't know, it's almost a moment of vulnerability, or at least a recognition of the situation.
Mm.
It says, "I never wanted this war. I never sought the fight. Now I stand alone, with the world in flames, and nothing left but a deadly name."
Yeah, there's a real sense of tragedy in that.
Totally.
He didn't ask for this. He was dragged back into it.
But now he's trapped.
Yeah, he's the Baba Yaga. That's all he is now.
And then we come to the final lines of the song, and they're really powerful.
Okay.
It says, "A dog's love, a fleeting past, the memories that couldn't last." So obviously the dog is a really important symbol in the John Wick story.
Huge symbol.
What do you think it represents?
Well, I think on one level, it's a symbol of the life John Wick could have had, you know? It's a life of peace, companionship, maybe even happiness.
The life that was stolen from him.
Exactly. And that loss, that's the spark that ignited the whole firestorm.
That's what turned him into the Baba Yaga.
Right. The dog is this incredibly potent reminder of what he lost and why he's fighting.
So, I mean, we've covered a lot here.
Yeah, we have.
We talked about vengeance, loss, honor, this idea of fate versus free will.
It's a lot to unpack.
What's the takeaway? What does John Wick's story tell us about, violence and retribution?
Well, I think John Wick is a warning, you know? A warning about what happens when you push someone too far.
What happens when you take everything from them?
Exactly. Violence begets violence. It's a cycle that's hard to break.
So, in a way, he's like a consequence.
I like that. He's the embodiment of consequence.
Yeah, and it makes you think, what would you do if you were in his shoes?
That's the question the movies want us to ask ourselves.
And I think it's a great place to end our deep dive. So if you're intrigued by what you've heard, definitely check out the John Wick films.
Do it. They're fantastic.
They're intense, they're action-packed.
And they'll leave you thinking about these themes long after the credits roll.
Exactly. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See you then.